Assalamu alaikum everyone. Uh, Today we are going to do planning programs. What do we need to plan by the way? We need to plan our nutrition education programs so that there are lesser chances of errors in our program. By the end of the chapter, you'll be able to describe components of planning process of a nutrition education intervention, plan and execute nutrition education program, and evaluate nutrition education programs. So you're not only going to get knowledge, but you're also going to get skills to develop and evaluate the programs. A major role of nutrition educators is to plan interventions to improve lifestyle behaviors. This chapter contains a step-by-step guide for planning nutrition programs. It is designed to assist planners in thinking through the issues that need to be considered at each step of the planning. A guiding principle in the planning program is to be systematic and thorough. It's also important to examine previous programs so there's lesser chances of errors and so you can improve your program and there are lesser chances that resources will be wasted. But one needs to be very skillful so there are unexpected outcomes and results can be measured. A post-program review is critical for identifying recommendations for future planning efforts. So there are a few steps in the planning program, and planning is a process that provides direction for deciding what to do and how to do. Planning is not linear. For example, at the time when the planner describes the intervention, the planner may realize the objectives need to be refined. So it's an ongoing process. You can jump back and forth from different steps and refine your work. The outcome should be a better developed program. So the step one is describing the origin and context of the program. There can be multiple sources of the program, and this level is going to determine what type of resources, objectives, and outcomes you'll be doing. So first is the national level. National level would be considered when a government body decides to give additional financial resources to improve the health of the population. A government body identifies a specific health issue or the problem, or maybe a national professional organization identifies a specific health issue or problem, and they decide to deal with it. At the community level, if a community wants to improve the health of its constituents, the people, its population, and it identifies a specific health issue, a local group of health professionals may join efforts and work on a specific health issue or a problem. At the institutional level, by institution, we can mean maybe a university, maybe a hospital. So it's a large group of people who want to work together, but they are contained in one geographical area. A group of health professionals within one institution decide and are mandated to deal with a specific health problem. A health professional within an institution decides or is mandated to deal with a specific health issue or problem. At an individual level, a health professional like you or me decides to initiate a program because of personal interest or to respond to a specific problem. Frequent in is here or her practice. The origin of the program will affect the both the breadth, the scope, the resources, the people, the money, the materials that it would be requiring, the objectives, are they long term, are they short term, are they wide or narrow, types of changes, levels of changes that would be required, or the focus of intervention. At the step two is program planners mandate. So what do we mean by program planners mandate? Program planners mandate means is there a difference between the program planner's goals and the goals of the organization where he is working? The planner needs to identify the goals of the planning organization that he or she is working with or associated with, Are the goals of the planning organization different from the goals of the program, or they're the goals of the planner? If there's a difference, it would be called conflict of interest. There would be a conflict of interest between the goals of the planning organization and goals of the program. In an industry sponsor situation, the planner may face a situation where the company's goal is to increase the sales of its products, some of which are high in fat content, whereas the program goal is to reduce fat consumption. And conflict of interest should be stated and dealt with. I'll give you an example of Nestle. Nestle and Abbott, they hire nutritionists and they ask the nutritionist to refer their products, but the nutritionist's work is to assess the client and then refer. So then there arises a conflict of interest that nutritionist doesn't want to refer the product, and the planner wants to increase the sales of its products. The planner must also determine how the planning organization is viewed by the target population. Credibility of the planning organization will have an impact on whether or not individuals will choose to participate in the program, or whether they will modify their health behaviors or not. If the organization is well known, then there are more chances that people are going to change their health behaviors and they would participate in the your plan, your educational program. Step three would be health needs, assessment of the health needs of the target population, and describing the program goals. Identifying the health needs of a selected population community group could be a simple or a complex task. But first is the main question: who is going to be doing the need assessment? In case of a country or a community, key stakeholders should be involved. These would include the program planners, the community leaders, government representatives, and delegates from the population. Each stakeholder has an important contribution. In some communities, it would not be culturally acceptable or politically astute to undertake a planning initiative if the community leaders were not involved. In a community conducting a need assessment, following factors should be considered. Different socio-demographic factors related to mortality and morbidity should be considered. Types of employment, marital status, geographical climatic conditions, government food and nutrition policies, food availability, food nutrition programs, recreational facility, community facilities, different groups they form, medical and health services that they utilize. This will give you an idea what their current state of health is and what services they are using. And this will also identify if there are any gaps in the health services that they have, and if there where the community services are being given and how your population can be reached. Next, our target is to prioritize the need. It is a very challenging uh, task. The origin and context of the program is going to determine how we are going to prioritize the needs. It is usually discussed that the policy planners need to prioritize the needs, so they take the ownership of the programs. The formulation of needs that requires attention. Needs should not be equated to wants or desires. So needs should be the needs of the population actually assessed by you, not what they want. So the need assessments the need should be stated as follows. It needs to include a description of the population, the health condition, the health problem, and the prevalence of undiagnosed, and the magnitude of the problem identified as percentage. For example, according to NHANES, that's a nutrition and health survey, 4 to 7% of adults in America have pre-diabetes, that is impairment of glucose tolerance or impaired fasting glucose. So there's a description of the population. There's a description of the disease, the health problem, and the magnitude given in the percentage. So all the factors have been given. I would like you to have a hands-on practice and develop your own need statements according to the plan that you are developing for as your project. Step number 4 would be discussing the health issue under study. You need to have a complete description of the disease or the health condition that you're going to be working on. You need to have, once the health issue that has been identified, the disease state, its health context must be thoroughly described in terms of risk factors that are involved in development of that disease, the evolution of the disease, how the disease starts and how it progresses and how it worsens, how it is treated, and what are the rehabilitation facilities that are available. And it should also include the complications that it could lead to. The planner should also identify the nutritional components and lifestyle factors that are related to the risk factors. In the example of previously cited, the nutrition related risk factors would include body mass index and blood lipid levels. The nutrition intervention could then focus on lowering the BMI and lowering the blood lipid levels through different nutritional strategies. Then we're moving on to step number 5. That is identifying the specific target audience. Who is the target audience? How are we going to reach that target audience? We need to have a complete description of all their profile. A comprehensive profile of the target audience is needed. Individuals with the target risk factors should be described in relation to their demographic characteristics, their age, their gender, their occupation, their social characteristics, their number of family members, number of social gatherings, places they are involved in, motivational characteristics, are they ready or not ready to change, health status and physiological characteristics, their general health condition, their nutritional status, their health status. Information about the target audience will provide the planner with useful data that will affect other steps in the planning process. It will influence how the target audience will be identified and contacted, when and under what circumstances individuals will be able to participate in the program, what dates they are available, with place they are available, how much it's going to cost to the planner to provide the intervention, and how at which publicity or which mass media campaign would be easier to reach them. Factors associated with adoption of healthy behaviors and barriers to implementing health behavior change. Type of educational activities to be organized. Some populations and medical facilities may require individual rather than group sessions for cultural or other reasons. Moving on to step number 6, changes required. Changes, individual, community, or the policy change to achieve the program goals. Now, the level of changes that are required will also be affected by the first step, that was the origin and context of the program. The first 5 steps in the planning process set the stage for determining the changes to be targeted by the program. Changes at the individual, family, community, institution, policy, and government levels should be considered in order to maximize the chances of achieving program goals. If there's just a change at the individual level, you're just teaching them some knowledge, giving them some skills, there are going to be lesser chances that they're going to change. If you involve the family and the family takes the ownership for the changes, the more likely people are going to change. But if it is taken up by the government, or if there are change in the policy level, there are more chances that people are going to follow your intervention. The larger the scope of the goal, the more likely the change will be required at all levels. The planner can determine the changes required to achieve the program goals by conducting a brainstorming session. In prevention of diabetes, the following factors affect the behavior change. First, individual, previous dieting history, availability of foods, skills to prepare low fat, low caloric meals, confidence in being able to carry out the behaviors, beliefs undertaking the behavior will lead to reduce the risk of diabetes. A review of the psychosocial factors should be considered. Social influence of family and friends in terms of advice on consumption of certain food products, positive or negative, encouraging the modification of lifestyle behaviors, positive or negative, and current health and lifestyle behaviors of family members. At environmental levels, provision of tax incentives for production of low cost, low caloric, low fat, palatable foods, and their availability in restaurants, worksites, schools, or the community settings. So you need the following changes can be targeted to achieve all these changes. At the individual level, modifying health behaviors to reduce the risk factors. At the community level, increasing public awareness of diabetes risk factors, increasing frequency of physician screening practices, increasing the number of restaurants offering low fat, low caloric food choices. At the policy level, providing payment plans to reimburse physicians for screening of diabetes. Step number 7 is describing the program objectives. Do you know what objectives are? Objectives are the endpoints that we want to reach. The program objectives are statements that describe what has to be accomplished by the program. It sets the stage for development of the intervention. The objectives should be realistic, measurable, and correspond to the previously identified needs and changes targeted. The statement of the objective should include a description of the target population, what specific change is targeted, in what conditions the change will be attained, and at what time the change is anticipated. Besides these, you must have heard that objectives need to be SMART. SMART is an acronym that means it needs to be specific to what you are doing, measurable measurable through some tool. A means attainable, that it's doable. R means realistic, and T means time bound, that it can be done in a particular defined time period. The wording of objectives should be precise and reflect the desired outcomes. Wording of objectives should be carefully considered. Verbs such as to know, to understand, to appreciate are vague. Other verbs such as to identify, to list, to define are more precise. The wording of objectives should focus on outcomes of the participants and not on the planner's activities or methods. To teach, to demonstrate. Objectives can be presented in different ways. The most common is to classify the objectives as general and specific. Another way is to classify objectives according to Bloom's taxonomy. It consists of 6 levels: knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. The types of objectives identified for the program will depend on all previous steps in the planning process. For the prevention of diabetes, for example, previously cited, the following objectives could be targeted by the program. To reduce the prevalence of undiagnosed diabetes among adults in Montreal 1 year after the intervention, to increase public awareness of diabetes risk factors, to increase the frequency of physician diabetes screening practices. Two could be, so you can read along that different objectives can be formed for each intervention, for each program goal. These are just example of different objectives that have been formed. Next step is describing the intervention. The intervention is the actual part, the actual changes that you're going to bring along in the people. What do we mean by intervention? It comes from the word intervene. Intervenes mean to make some change, to give some education, to give some intervention. The intervention must be integrally linked to the objectives and the types of changes targeted by the program. There are two issues that are addressed in this section. The first is related to the type of intervention to be planned, and it is dependent on whether the change targets policy, community, or individual level. The second is related to the factors that should be considered when planning an educational program. Type of intervention. The type of intervention needed to attain the objective should be determined. It can be in the form of a media campaign or lobby campaign to a series of conferences, individual lectures, and opportunities. If the level of change targets policy, then lobby campaign. Lobby campaigns mean having meetings and going to important people who are able to make the changes. A lobby campaign involving key stakeholders could be planned, determining what political and industrial forces facilitate or hinder policy change, can assist the planner in identifying strategies to overcome the barriers. What type of information will convince policymakers to foster a change? What is the benefit that they are going to get? What is the benefit the people are going to get? What type of community, governmental, and international support is needed to foster the change? So, these are all the questions that need to be asked by the planner, and this will help him identify what changes are required. If the level of change targets the community, then environmental changes could be pursued, such as ensuring sufficient recreational facilities and increasing access to these facilities, ensuring availability of low fat products, is availability of these foods at various institutions. Short presentation commits to advisory board members of these institutions could be given. Support from agencies such as ministries of health can be solicited. There can be group sessions, print materials could be provided, individual education activities could be done. So there are multiple ways that the community can be reached. If the level of change targets the individual, then public campaigns, community activities, group or individual sessions, counseling, internet programs, food demonstrations, supermarket tours could be organized. Targeting individual change may involve including family members at various educational activities or for support on the home front. Factors need to be considered when planning an educational program. So there are multiple factors that need to be considered, such as a series of conferences, workshops, individual counseling situations may include how to reach the target audience, what method, content, the message, the materials, and the program publicity. So all these issues need to be considered, and all these issues need to be resolved during the planning process. These issues are described as follows. The first issue is reaching the target audience and deciding the location of the program. So it is, believe me, it is one of the most difficult part that you would be doing in your program, deciding where to reach, where the maximum benefit you could get out from the sample or the population that you are going to reach. A review of the characteristics of the target audience that was done in the step number 3 will guide the planner in determining the best way to reach the prospective program participants. Useful information may include identification of the key medical caregivers used by the target audience, what doctors or physiotherapists, nurses, dietitians they go to for treatment, identification of key medical services used by the target audience, hospital, clinics, private clinics, or the food programs, or community kitchens, or community health services. They are going to identification of the social groups and identification of the facilities used by the target groups. So also people of different life cycle can be reached at different places they're usually found at. For example, an ideal place to reach children is schools. An ideal place for to reach adolescent or young people is the college or the universities. Then an ideal place for pregnant or lactating mothers are the centers where the children are being immunized, or places where the pregnant women are going for treatment or their routine checkups. A decision will have to be made as to which context would maximize reaching the target audience. For example, if the planner is interested in reaching high-risk individual for diabetes, then the physician would be a primary means of contact. Work sites may be another option. Companies and organizations employing individuals in sedentary job positions, as well as community centers. The selection and of the location of the program is another major planning decision. So not just the place where you're going to reach your or recruit your population, where you're going to conduct your program. It is not required that both of things are going to be at the same place. The location will affect the participation rates. Settings may include community centers, health professional offices or clinics, schools, libraries, shopping centers, markets, homes, or universities. The setting to identify and reach individuals for program may be different from the setting to conduct the program. Time of the day should also be decided. For individuals who work, it may be appropriate to offer the program in the evening, so when they are available, when they are free, at the end of the workday or during the lunch hour period. But most of the people are not willing to participate in anything during the lunch hour period. They could also be reached during their off days. The day hours may be suitable for retired individuals or for new mothers for whom babysitting services may be helpful. So, these were the few points that we discussed today: the origin and context of the program, the program planner's mandate, the health needs of the population, the health issue under study, the specific target audience, the changes required, the objectives, and the intervention. There are a total of 12 steps that are involved in the planning of the programs. We did today 8 steps. What I want from you is that before we start our next class, so there is an assignment that you will be making, keeping in mind the origin context of the program that you're doing in different schools that will be doing as a project. I want you people to develop program objectives for your nutrition education intervention. So you can post your assignments in the Google Classroom. I'm going to check it over there and provide you with a feedback how you can improve your objectives. And you need to be very vigilant about the verbs that you use. Be very vigilant about the 4 components of the program objectives that we just studied. It needs to include all the aspects. I will provide you with feedback and I'll provide you with the marks, and you can contact me through the WhatsApp during your designated class hours. And if you have any queries, you can ask me in the Google Classroom or in the WhatsApp group. Thank you very much. I'll be closing here. Okay. See you next in the class time.